Hey guys, hope everybody's doing fantastic today. In this video, we're going to go ahead and we're going to hop into that map yesterday between Seattle and OpTic. It was the map 1. It had an absolutely unbelievable finish where OpTic just clutched up a little bit more. I thought that they were in trouble. I thought that Seattle was going to go ahead and take this first map, but there were a couple plays down towards the end which gave OpTic the advantage, and that ended up leading to the 1-0 start, which from there we kind of know how the rest of the map ended up going, how the rest of the match ended up going, as Chicago won in 3-0 fashion. But I got to tell you, the more and more I watch Seattle, I feel like it's just a matter of time, right? They're so close over and over again that sooner or later they just have to come through and get a couple dubs. And I think maybe not this stage just based off of what their group looks like, but one of these stages they have to be the team, a third team that makes it out of winner's bracket. They're playing so well. Of course, we saw the improvement throughout the course of stage 2, but they just haven't put it all together yet. They've gotten really close, like in that matchup with Minnesota during stage 2. They were super close, took them to map 5. They just weren't able to capitalize. But in this one, just to kind of start off with where things are at, Chicago did a really nice job of being able to break this opening setup. Sometimes this can be super difficult, but they were able to both get time inside of P1 in the middle of the map, and they were really just able to bully themselves way through. They have the spawns over for P2, and now they're just doing their best to hold it. And I don't really love this setup. They were really on their back foot there. There's one more person in the back, that's Dashy, but really with that, I mean, it's not the end of the world because now they're going to have spawns for P3, and of course we know that's how this map works overall. But as that break started to come in for Seattle, they really just pushed through mid-map, and if you're Chicago, you have to have somebody out towards mid-map. If you're allowing people to just push through mid-map and get all the way up inside of P2, it's probably not going to work out well for you. But this first push here over towards P3 is coming in for Seattle, and they seem to be doing a decent job as Gunless gets 2 right there. They do have the back control, so immediately what that does, as we look at the kill feed right here, you can see that right now this is Scump right here just spawned out. So Gunless got 2 kills right here, and as they're coming forward pushing out the backhand side, anytime you get in these positions right here, that's going to go ahead and that's going to block off this spawn right here from OpTic. So now it's essentially a 3v4, and if you're Seattle, you have to go quick, right? Because obviously you're going to get pressure here, you're going to get pressure here, and I know there's a lot going on the screen right now, but if you don't go quick, Scump is coming in from behind them. So it's not like you can really just kind of play your time and just wait for the pressure to get there. So we'll kind of see how this next few seconds ends up coming through. But Prasini does get a kill on Formal. So now it's basically a 3v2. Looney and Gunless get the rest, and Scump gets killed by Gunless again. As you can see right here on the bottom, Gunless starting 8-3. And he has just a great start so far. And even with that, they're still just now getting into the lead. Looks like the last 12 seconds or so are going to end up going towards Seattle. Now they have to try to push through Bank again. They did get that initial kill on Envoy, but they have to push through another kill on Dashy. So this is just a point in time where your SMGs, if you're OpTic, the way that you really get a ton of time here inside of P4, because normally this is a pretty contested hill, the way you get a ton of time is to be able to get kills in this elbow area over here, as Scump is going to pick up the 3rd. There's one more left. It is Octane. He goes down, and just like that, you can see that all of the OpTic arrows turn around, look towards mid, because they know if they're pushed up, they get a team wipe towards Bank. That's going to go ahead. That's going to block off that back spawn. That's going to take Seattle and spawn them out all the way over towards Globe, and then they have to try to push in. But 3 go down again, and this has really just been a phenomenal transition, right? Even though once P4 popped, right before that, like 5 seconds or so before that, they did have their 2 most up people go down. So Dashy and Envoy went down. But after that, they got a team wipe over towards Bang. As Seattle was trying to push in, they got a team wipe as Seattle tried to enter P4. And because of that, they have a 20-ish, 30-ish point lead. And now the rotation is on over towards that P2 side of the map. You can see right here, Looney and Gunless fighting in the back. They actually aren't showing it. There it was. And that was a big kill. So if Formal doesn't get that kill, then they definitely give up spawns. But even so, he knows that there's more people over towards the bottom side of the map, just based off of where his teammates spawn. So let's go ahead. Let's pause this. Let's bring up our map real quick just so that we can show that. So Formal has been camped out here for a while, right? As he was getting a kill here on Looney, his teammates were coming up off of spawn. And the only reason why he knows that there's still people pushing, which is why he was able to get another kill as Seattle was trying to push around the back, is because his teammates were spawning over in this area of the map. So that's either going to give you spawn over here or a spawn over here. And if there's any sort of pressure over here towards the bottom side of the map by Seattle, that's going to block this back spawn, which is why they knew, or Formal knew, as that continued right there, to make sure that he was watching the back just based off of information from his teammates. I'm actually a little shocked that that gun battle was as difficult as it was. Normally those kills happen fairly easy, but Seattle's doing a nice job of getting the remaining time here inside of P1. They're able to get these last few seconds, and really they're just doing a nice job of keeping it in striking distance, right? Those are the points that really matter, because if they weren't able to get that time inside of P1, say those last 30 seconds ended up going to OpTic, well then all of a sudden it would be like a 150 to 60 ball game, and it's really tough to come back from. So they're just doing a nice job over and over and over again. Also, the first set of rotations over towards P2 of just making sure that they're staying within striking distance, so that once they get 3 or 4 down, then they're going to be in position. And looks like they're about to do this again as Envoy gets a 3-piece. There's one left that should be traded out right here by Octane. And that was, I mean, that was massive, right? Obviously, it's not going to show up too much on the overall score of the round, but if Envoy doesn't get those final 3 kills, the last 40 seconds or so ends up going towards Seattle, and that could potentially be a 70 or 80 point swing just based off of a 3-piece from one player. That right there, also by Pristini, saves another 10 seconds. So these are the little things that kind of go unnoticed. Let's go ahead. Let's just pause it right here because we have this big screen. But there was one more OpTic player sitting here inside of P2. And as he was sitting inside of P2, he was looking mid because that's where he expected a Seattle push. But Pristini right here just pushes over through lobby. He's able to get that kill from behind. And once that happened, there were like 12 seconds left on the clock. So that's a really big chunk of time. I know it really doesn't see like it, but if he doesn't get that kill, remember how the end of this game went, right? All of the drama towards the end of this map wouldn't even have really been a thing had he have not taken that 10, 12, 13 seconds away. And it's just little things like that over and over and over again, right? This is like the second or third time just this map I've talked about how Seattle's keeping it close, keeping it within striking distance. And right there, again, Pristini didn't get that kill, but them pushed up over on the bottom side of the map. That's where, look, there's 30 seconds off of this hard point already, and that was a great challenge right there out of Scum. But before that 30 seconds came off the board, there was no contesting from OpTic whatsoever, and it's just because of the pressure down towards the bottom of the map. The last 15 seconds here is going to end up going Seattle's way. Sure, they have to break through the pressure over towards P4 to make sure that they can keep this game close, but just like that, it was one rotation, P2 to P3. They're able to get the kills on the bottom side of the map, and here we are. It's just a 15-point ball game. It's just, that's the thing that I love about Call of Duty, is that it could just be 1 or 2 sets of team kills, and all of a sudden a really big lead ends up being 20 seconds, and it's cool to see how quickly maps can flip. But right here, Chicago's doing a nice job again. Formal's going to get traded, and there's going to be one person left. That's going to be Dashy over towards the hill. He also goes down, and now Seattle's in control of P4, although they're not really pushing it. I do like the fact that they're making sure that they don't give up spawns, as you saw Octane posted up by Globe, just kind of watching the push through P1. So let's go ahead, let's pause this real quick just to kind of show what happened right there. So Seattle, Octane was set up right here and he was watching the push through mid. Seattle also had 2 players pushed up over towards P4. Now, if you're Octane, you absolutely, as a main AR, you do not want to give up this push. You don't want to give up these back spawns over here towards P2. But he knows that he really doesn't have to watch the top side, right? If you're thinking, if you're Seattle, well, sure, the entire top part of the map over here is open, but there's no way, as OpTic spawning over here in Bang, there's no way that they're going to take this route all the way around with the game so close to try to flip those spawns, right? They're either going to try to push and contest inside of P3 in one of these routes, or they're going to hit through mid and try to get a flank. And if you can get through this way to get over towards back behind P2, then great. But there's no way that they're going to take that long route on the top side of the map by Eskies. So ultimately, Octane did a nice job of just holding down mid, essentially holding down that mid lane, was able to keep those back P2 spawns. And now we're going to end up having like a 10-point game. And Seattle has pressure inside of P1, and they have spawns for P2. So it just seemed like 3 or 4 minutes ago, this was a really actually a dominant map so far out of OpTic. P3 happens, P4 happens. Now we have map control here for Seattle in P1. And now all of a sudden things are looking a little bit different. And just like that, I'm actually not really sure what Octane was doing right there with that kill on Envoy. I know that he had a Craig, but normally that's one that he ends up finishing, as Gunless is absolutely going in. Another 2-piece right there from Gunless. The dude is 22 and 12 after that death. And that's what they need. As you look at the top right, Formal's +3, Dashy's -6, Envoy's +2, Scump's -3. There's really not a ton happening right there in the slaying department. OpTic's just doing a nice job of securing map rotation and winning spawns and stuff like that. Whereas Gunless is 24 and 12, and the dude just continues his spree. He really is playing super well. But Spawn's about to hop, and this is one of those key moments where if you're Seattle, you have rotations. Just make sure that you're winning these spawns in the back. Looks like Scump is behind Gunless. Let's see if he catches him right here underneath him. That's a big 1v1 at the back. Now, this is a point where even if Gunless does end up dying right there, so say Gunless ends up killing Scump, even if so, now OpTic is so pushed out, they could have easily traded that and retained those spawns. And right here, OpTic's able to get a team kill. This was a big turning point in the map, right? Because if that didn't end up working out that way, if Seattle holds those back spawns, then essentially the way that this is going to end up going down would be completely reversed, because Seattle would have gotten all that time inside of P2. OpTic would be holding towards P3. So it's the exact opposite. And at this point, now it's just 5 seconds, right? So if you're OpTic, make sure that you're playing together. The first 2 do go down. All you have to do is just make sure that you're playing together and just have one concerted team push. If you're able to just push together as a team and just make sure that you're finishing your trades and stuff like that, then just force it over to a P4 and you can win from there. But at this point in time, if you look, so right there, Pristini ended up running off the hill. Reason why he did that is because he just got word from Gunless that they're being pushed. So Gunless is right here. Pristini got word that he's being pushed by 2. So he goes ahead and he gets off the hill. And I do like this decision just because if Pristini stays on the hill and Gunless ends up getting traded, then it's essentially a 1v1. But these spawns are already about to be given up, right? As you look towards the bottom of the screen, you have Formal, who just got a kill on Octane in the back. He's pushing behind, so that should open up those back spawns for OpTic, even though there's nobody dead right now. There's 3 pushing through middle, and over here, Scump just spawned on the right-hand side, so that should take Seattle. Obviously, they can't spawn in this back area, so that should take Seattle. That should spawn them over here towards Globe, and now this is the scenario that we talked about earlier where they have to make sure that they're pushing quickly together so that they can get through with that pinch and get that finished off. There comes in the spawn over towards the back by Looney. Pristini does get a 2-piece. Pristini gets a 3-piece. He's still alive somehow, gets traded right there. And now it's just a mad scramble, right? This is just a mad dash to try to hold off these spawns. If you're Seattle, you don't have a choice. You have to get in here. Big kill, big 2-piece by Looney. Pristini versus Scump. Pristini goes massive again and gets a 2-piece. If Pristini doesn't make those plays that he ends up making right there, then OpTic wins on this hill, no doubt, because they would have been able to hold off the push through Eskies. But Pristini gets those massive kills, and now as it rotates over, if we're just looking at the setup right here, you have one player from Seattle pushed out. Guess who? That's Pristini again. Seems like we're calling his name over and over again. You also have Looney set up inside the hill, but you did just have 2 Seattle members go down. So those guys are going to actually end up spawning over here, and they're going to have to work their way in towards the hill. There are also 2 OpTic members that went down. So the setup right here, if you're Seattle, is if I'm Looney, I'm going to push forward, make sure I get this elbow area of the map, because if you can get kills in these ranges before OpTic can push in towards P4, really all you need is like 1 set of team kills. If you're able to get that, then you're able to hold off the push. So we'll watch as it plays out right here, but I do like the push forward towards Gunless. Gunless is over towards that bus. Really nice kill there from Pristini, and now the flank is in, although I'm not real sure about this. Is this the spawn that made no sense? Yeah, so this is where we paused it. Gunless just got a kill, and this is an interesting spawn. So just to break this down real quick, this number 4 right here is Gunless. Gunless just got this bank spawn, and he got that spawn because the hill has popped, and they do have pressure here. But right before the hill popped, since there is pressure in this area of the map, essentially that blocked off this back spawn here for OpTic. So since it blocked off this spawn, this actually took Formal and it spawned him out. And then since Formal took up this back spawn over here, that blocked off this spawn, which the game had nowhere else to spawn Gunless, but actually right towards the hill. And I don't think Seattle is expecting this. So right now, if you're Chicago, now all of a sudden you can set up a pinch, right? You can pinch through this way, you can pinch through this way. Whereas if you're Seattle, you know where the other 2 OpTic players are. So you figure, let's just cut off these areas of the map. And if you do that, then no longer is there a route available for OpTic to push through. Oh boy. It's just a bad spawn. So Formal's going to end up coming through, but they do realize it. So obviously they pick it up right there because of how far out Octane spawned, and now it's just a mad dash, right? There's a 1v1 inside the hill. Pristini versus Dashy. Pristini does win it, but he gets traded. But during all of this, nobody's inside the hill. I really think if that spawn didn't come through from Formal, I think Seattle probably wins this right here. Envoy's going to end up getting this kill on Looney underneath. As he did that, Scump also got a kill over on the right side of bus from Gunless. And at this point, there's only 2 players left up from Seattle, Octane and Pristini, and they have no choice. They have to be pushed up on the hill, because if they're not, OpTic only needs 9 seconds. Dashy gets a kill right there. Pristini's the last one left. He has to push forward. Again, he doesn't have a choice. Dashy gets another kill. The last 2 seconds are going to end up coming off the clock. But there was some interesting things there. Let's see if we can go through and see the scoreboard overall. Again, spawns were a little bit confusing, but a lot of times that's what happens during those mad dashes, those mad scrambles at the end. We look at the scoreboard here. Nobody really went off from OpTic. They were just able to make the kills in the clutch. Whereas if we look up top, Gunless did end up cooling off a little bit. Remember, he was like 24-12. He ended up going 28-20, so ended up going 4-8 over the last couple minutes or so. Pristini played really well. Didn't quite get a ton of production from Looney, but that's kind of been the story for a while. So overall, Seattle just 1 or 2 kills away. That's really what we've been seeing out of them over and over and over again. So if you guys are new around here, you enjoy this sort of breakdown content, make sure you go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you've been here for a while, make sure you leave a thumbs up on this, as it really helps out the channel. And with that, thank you guys so much. We'll be here again in tomorrow's upload for the matchup between Dallas and Toronto. So with that, we will see you guys next time.